This is Earl Amin with the 2020 Foresight Podcast, where CEOs of small to global companies share their insights. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because top CEOs know how to listen and be concise. So let's get to it. First of all, welcome. And in just a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you very much for inviting me to join you today. I'm Langdon Morris. I'm the CEO of a small consulting firm called Innovation Labs. And since innovation is the name of our company, you might guess that we're in the innovation business, and you would be right.
Yes, indeed. So tell me, what's the best thing about being the CEO of Innovation Labs?
I would say the opportunity to work with amazing clients, companies all over the world that we support on their innovation journeys. I'm always learning by interacting with the leadership and the teams that we work with around the world. So it's constant learning. So what I love most about it is, I guess, the learning.
Yeah. I imagine on your journey to where you are, you've learned quite a bit. One of the things I hear from CEO interaction is that leading the team and being able to see the road ahead can be a challenge. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's definitely a challenge, and it's definitely a requirement for a CEO. I've gotten into writing books over the last number of years, and one of the books I wrote was called Foresight, which sort of links to the topic of this webinar and your series. And it's all about how the world is changing and changing very quickly, which, of course, from our perspective as innovators and innovation consultants is very apt, because as the world changes, we have to innovate in order to keep up with it. But we have to have a vision of where we're going. We have to understand sort of the big picture of society and technology and all these changes, so that the innovations that we create today are relevant tomorrow. So that's a big challenge, but the best CEOs are really, really good at it, and they're visionaries, and they're able to apply their visions and help us create the future of the world.
Indeed. Well said. So in all of this learning that you've done over your career, all of the interactions you've experienced, all the innovation that you've produced, what piece of insight do you want to share with other CEOs?
I think that the thing that's most important for leaders to grasp is that change right now seems to be going very, very quickly, but it's going to continue to accelerate. So we have less and less time to make major decisions. More and more events are happening more frequently, and the magnitude of these impacts is greater and greater. And as far as we can tell, that's only going to increase, which means that, again, going back to the issue of foresight, leaders need to have a much clearer vision of how things are going to be evolving, which, of course, a lot involves technology. So leaders have to become students of technology and really understand the new technologies around artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, quantum computing, et cetera, the life sciences, biotechnology, because all these things are having impact on society, and they're having impact both on products and services, but also, and very importantly, on customer expectations. So the things that people would expect as normal and would, quote unquote, put up with 5 or 10 years ago, they don't have patience for now as customers. And so we have to figure out how we can speed up our business process in order to meet the expectations of customers, which are only going to get more demanding.
Yes, nailed it. Well said.
Thank you.
So throughout, again, your journey and everything, what other successful CEOs like yourself would you like to acknowledge or shout out to and should be on my podcast?
Well, there's one guy that I have great admiration for. I met him probably 20 years ago on a consulting project. At that time, he was one of the leaders of Lexus North America. And I was working with a French company, and a group of the executives from the French company came to the US, and we took them around to visit various companies in the US to think about how Europe might evolve to be more like the US, which in fact it has. And so we arranged a meeting with Lexus. We went to visit this executive, and he turned out to be a brilliant, brilliant guy. And so, we're sitting around this conference table at the Lexus headquarters, which are in southern LA. And all the French executives were dressed like impeccably, as you might imagine, $500 or $1,000 suits, et cetera. And in comes this guy in blue jeans and just a casual white shirt. And he just starts talking about how he runs the business and what he's done and what he's thinking about. And after a couple of minutes, I realized that he was sharing with us incredible knowledge. And so I took out my notebook and I'm writing as fast as I can for like an hour as he's going on and on. And, people are asking him good questions and he's got great answers. And I said, one day this guy is going to be a CEO because he's really, really smart. Mm. And so I went back a couple of weeks later and I was looking through my notes and I realized, I'd love to write an article about all the things that we learned. It was obviously a confidential meeting, so I couldn't do that without his permission. So I called up Lexus and I said, hey, I met with so-and-so a couple of weeks ago. I'd like his permission to write an article about what I learned from our meeting. And the person I talked to, who previously had been really, really friendly, said, I'm sorry, you can't. And she was very abrupt and clearly very upset by my request. And I said, gee, why not? And she said, well, he's been recruited to Ford. So he had left the company. And there was another person with him, a marketing person who had also participated in the meeting from Lexus. And I said, well, can I talk to her? And she said, well, she was recruited at Chrysler. So you can't talk to either of them. So that was the end of that. So I never was able to do much with that knowledge. So the guy's name is Jim Farley, and he's now the CEO of Ford. He was just named CEO last summer. He's a brilliant guy. And the stuff that I learned that he did at Toyota and Lexus, I can now see things that he's starting to do at Ford, which I think will help Ford to become very, very successful. So I have great admiration for Jim. And if I can make a small plug, since this meeting happened more than 15 years ago, our firm has recently put together a video library of innovation training materials. And we have about a half an hour segment on this interaction that we had with Jim Farley when he was with Toyota. So the whole story and all the details and all the stuff that I learned, except for a few things that we had to leave out, is now available to the public in our innovation course, which is called Innovation Mastery. So anybody who's watching this video who's interested in innovation and learning about innovation, we've had tremendous feedback on the course. It's about 25 hours worth of content at basically a very, very low price. So check it out if you want to learn more about Jim Farley. Fabulous guy, brilliant thinker, great leader. I was tremendously impressed with him, and I still am.
All right. Well, now for the final question, Langdon. How do you celebrate a win?
We're really big into appreciation. So it's always about what contributions our team has made or what insights we've gained from our clients. So, we celebrate by really appreciating people and the great work that they do. When we put a team together, we really work them very, very hard. And we expect a lot of people. We expect a lot of innovative thinking, a lot of problem solving, long hours. But it's very rewarding because innovation is really a lot of fun. And when it's all over and, we have success, then it's all about appreciating the team for their contributions and their efforts and their insights. And, the things that went wrong, that we took our best shot and we messed it up for whatever reason, we always acknowledge those too, because that's a big part of learning.
Very good.
So that's how we handle it.
All right. Well, my final question, it's been a great pleasure having you on. How can people find you?
So our firm, innovationlabs.com, Innovation Labs is the company, or the video course that I just mentioned, Innovation Mastery. And, on our website, you'll find lots and lots of information. We've published a lot of books. Some of them are available for free on the website. You can get them all, of course, from Amazon. The innovation course is online. And you can find my email address pretty easily, or you can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to communicate. And Earl, thank you so much for inviting me to join you. I love the questions. I hope that my answers were interesting, and I wish you well.
They were. This is Earl Amin with the 2024 Side Podcast. For more insights, go to LinkedIn and search for The Gray Owl Company. They were very interesting. Thank you very much, Langdon.
Thank you, Earl. Take care.